Well, all we have to do is think back to those three big storms, the one in December, two in January, to realize winters in Maine are indeed changing.
More than 6 months later, many parts of the state still recovering. News Center Maine meteorologist Jason Nappy looks at why winter storms are getting worse and how it's affecting weather forecasting in Maine's changing climate.
Storms that have more moisture, more intensity, so they're just going to be more intense, and then they're happening more frequently. Those like the black swans.
There are more than 100 local weather offices spread out across the country. Zach Taylor is the acting warning coordination meteorologist for all of them. Taylor says extreme weather events are becoming more common due to climate change.
It shouldn't probably be classified as a black swan, and then that begs the question: is that becoming what we are now considering a more normal expected extreme event, or at least the spread of the potential extremes maybe broadens to include some of these events that we would otherwise can be considered to be off the scale.
A black swan event is something extreme that rarely happens. But Taylor says climate change is creating a new normal where people are experiencing storms so severe they've never seen anything like it. But what if we are seeing multiple black swans in the same week like we saw back in January?
I mean, so some of these events are very unprecedented and something that others haven't seen in their generation or even before that. So we're talking about events that, go back 50, 100 years that there is no record of. And so that it's hard to put into perspective sometimes the extreme nature of events if no one has actually witnessed it or observed it.
Anyone living in Maine can appreciate how difficult it is to accurately predict winter storms. Taylor says things have shifted to a warmer climate, making accuracy a bigger challenge.
Some of the changes that we're seeing with some of these systems where, before maybe it was more classic conceptual model of winter storms of the Northeast, but now we're adding new things to it, like more inland, warmer temperatures, which brings more inland rain and those impacts. And
Taylor says there are more inland flood warnings, but there's also a big impact on the coastline thanks to increased storm frequency.
Then the coastline and the surge that are being impacted as well, and the repeating effects of those that are changing how the weather is impacting the infrastructure.
Like seawalls being destroyed after the extreme storms last winter. There are now holes in those barriers on Beach Ave and Kennebunk.
The frequency and intensity of sometimes of these winter storms that's something we're going to have to grapple with.
Taylor says one thing forecasters key in on are anomalies. It's a way of looking back at the past to predict the future. He says that's getting harder to do with climate change.
The anomalies of whether it's a moisture or the strength of the low pressure system or what, and that kind of puts a little bit of context and helps raise the flag from a forecasting side, like, okay, now we need to start really paying attention because these anomalies are off the chart.
Taylor says having a weather-ready nation that knows how to respond to weather hazards is key.
I think it's just about, knowing how to get reliable information and then also knowing what to do when those really important weather warnings come out.
But Taylor says walking the line between getting the word out and not being an alarmist is at the core of what the National Weather Service does.
Having a source of trusted information, one that is going to provide a balanced view of the weather and what's expected. So, that's whether that's a trusted source of broadcast media or the National Weather Service.
Staying informed and getting important weather information will continue to be a challenge as climate change makes things worse. Meteorologist Jason Nappy, News Center, Maine.